Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to my talk. My name is Hugo, and I'm going to be talking about what's all that hype about BLE. BLE stands for Bluetooth Low Energy. And the reason why I'm going to talk about that is because for the past year, I've been building an SDK for the Internet of Things. That's what we do in our company. We want to connect our apps to all the devices around us. And for that, I built an SDK so that you can communicate over the cloud, but also when you are close enough over BLE. So just a few words about what we do. So we are creating a platform so that we can learn better about the devices that surround us. We want to know more about what we can do with the objects, with everyday objects. For instance, so we want to make things smarter. So Relayer, so you've heard all these buzzy words about Internet of Things, and things are really normal stuff, are the clothes that you're wearing or the places where you're sitting. Everything are things. And I wanted to talk today why is this so important at the moment, and what's the relationship between Bluetooth and the Internet of Things. So if we look at startups at the moment and startup products, we see that there's been a shift between from specific software products to hardware products. Also, if you saw the Google I/O, who saw it last week? Hands up, please. OK, you did your homework. They are also working on a protocol for this so-called Internet of Things, and they are creating a bare-bone Android operating system that can run in low-level devices. And this is very important because we will be able to soon connect to anything around us. There are already some companies doing really cool stuff, like Sensoria. They are doing these smart socks that track how you're running. So after you go for a run, you can see where your feet were landing so that you can improve the way you run, or you can prevent injuries. Or this other company, Leaf, they are creating smart jewelry. So if you can leave your phone in your purse or something, and then if you go for a walk, it will still track all the steps that you make. Also, it's no longer us techies wearing these calculators on our wrists, right? There are tons of companies doing smart tech, like this company doing these smart watches. And also, it's not just about what we wear. It's also about how we commute. Automatic is this company that they are creating a piece of hardware that you just plug into your car, and you start learning about how your car behaves and what to do in order to save gas or to drive better. So why do we see some startups ship into hardware products? Why are these no longer interested in doing just software products? So one of the reasons is because sensors are cheap. It's very cheap now to just get a sensor from China and create your product. But I don't think it's just that. I think it's also because the prototyping tools just got a lot better in the last years. Now you can create a casing for that in your laptop and just print it right away in a 3D model. So we have all these amazing tools that allow us to do that. We have a 3D printer or a CNC machine that make this process very easy. So at this stage, we would have the piece of hardware in a very nice casing. But there's still another piece in the puzzle. How do you monetize? How do you put this product on the market, right? So that's when a crowdfunding campaign comes in. So there are all these amazing platforms where you can say, hey, I'm doing this product, but I don't know yet if there's going to be enough demand. So you just put it out there, and you see if there's enough people interested in buying it. And if so, you go full and develop it. So that's actually what we did at Relayer with the WunderBar. The WunderBar is an electronic board with 6 different sensors, but our main goal was to do it as easy as chocolate. So that's how it looks like. It's 6 different sensors that communicate over Bluetooth. And we have also on the top a master module that talks to them as well and also can communicate all this data over Wi-Fi and to our cloud. So that if you are on the way, you can also access this data from an app. So as I said, all these products, the way they communicate is Bluetooth. Then you have a device that will publish the things to the cloud, but all these products that I showed is Bluetooth, what they are using, and why is that? So if you look at all your devices, they communicate with Bluetooth, so it makes it really easy for anyone to start using them. But if you look at the naming, it's very confusing. Some people name it Bluetooth Low Energy, others 4.0, others Bluetooth Smart. So what's the difference between all those names? So Bluetooth Low Energy was the initial implementation and the initial name that they gave it, but the marketers didn't like it. So they decided to rename it Bluetooth Smart. They thought it was a smart move. And then other people are also naming Bluetooth 4.0. And Bluetooth 4.0 is just a combination of the classical Bluetooth and the newer Bluetooth Low Energy, but just they ship together. So why am I talking about this if Bluetooth have been there for 20 years? I think you're all familiar with these wireless headphones or wireless speakers that can transmit a lot of data and work pretty well, right? And you're probably right. So what you want is to have a lot of data transmitted, like video or audio, Bluetooth Classic is what you should be using. But imagine you have a temperature sensor that you just want to send temperature updates every second or every couple of minutes. You don't need this power, and you might want to instead of having to replace the battery every day or two, you might want to have it for weeks or months or years. So that's when you should use Bluetooth Low Energy. So let's talk about the relationship between Bluetooth and Android. That's what we're here for. When Android launched, it didn't ship with Bluetooth at the beginning. It wasn't until the 2.0 with Eclair when Bluetooth was introduced with this library called BlueZit. BlueZit is a Bluetooth stack that ships with the Linux kernel, and it's a very stable implementation. The problem is that it has a GPA license. So if you want it to play nicely with your Android app, it needs to run in a different process because of licenses. So that brought a few problems, like some latency, and it was harder to develop because they were depending on the Linux implementation. So Android or the Google guys decided to create their own in the 4.3 release, and they call it BlueDroid. It was with it, they also introduced Bluetooth Smart, but it wasn't a full implementation, and it was quite buggy at that time. Now, with the Lollipop release, it got a bit better, but there's still a lot of work to do. But at least they now support all the characteristics of Bluetooth. But at the same time, before the 4.0 release, we saw other Bluetooth stacks. For instance, Samsung and HTC were using another stack. So, and also Motorola were using their own stack. So it was really hard to be consistent when you were developing apps because in one platform might crash, and in other ones it will work fine. And now with BlueDroid, they try to solve all this. So let's go a little bit deeper about Bluetooth Low Energy. Bluetooth Low Energy defines 4 roles. As you see in the screen, central, peripheral, observer, and broadcaster. The ones on the right, the ones on the left, on green, are the ones that are advertising to the world where they are or what they do. So for instance, coming back to our thermometer example, we have a thermometer here that says, hey, I'm here. It's 25 degrees here, or it's 26 degrees. And then on the other hand, we have the central and the observer, which are the guys scanning for these devices. And they are the ones responsible to search them and to connect to them. Now, the difference between a peripheral and a broadcaster is that the peripheral is connectable. So if you want to have a one-to-many application where you don't really need to connect to a device, you can just use this broadcaster. But if what you really want is to connect to the device and not really ask for something specific or write something or change some data, what you would want to use is the two other modes. But why would you want to use a broadcaster? Are you guys? Oh, sorry. One thing. So the ones on the right got introduced in the Lollipop release. So until Lollipop, you were just able to scan for devices. You weren't able to advertise to the world. But coming back, why would you want to use a broadcaster? Or better, are you guys familiar with a beacon? Who is familiar with a beacon, please? Hands up. So for those who are not, a beacon is just a broadcaster that you would put anywhere. This is an example of a store. And Estimote is a company that they are developing beacons. So the idea is that you can put this device somewhere in the store, and when you are coming in and you're walking, you see different notifications from the different sensors. So at the beginning, they might tell you, oh, there's a 5% discount on this new product, or we are shipping this, or we have this new offer of this other one. And for that, you don't need to connect to the device because this is going to be for all the customers of the shop. Now, sometimes you want to have a more personalized experience, so you want to really connect to it and do something with it. And in order to do that, we need to talk about the GATT protocol. GATT stands for Generic Attribute Profile, and it defines two components: a peripheral, which might be the thermometer sensor we were talking about, and the central. Or they also call it server, because it has something to offer, and then a client that would do the request to the server. So what does a peripheral have? A peripheral has something called services. A service is a combination of behavior and data, and it's exposed to the client for them to connect to the one they want. There are several services. One device can have more than one service. For instance, a battery service, and the thermometer service, or the device information service. Now, there are some of these services, you might imagine having them in a lot of devices, right? Like, you might imagine that you want to access the battery from all the devices that you have. And that's why Bluetooth SIG, the Bluetooth special group, the ones that created Bluetooth, define some standard services. So that's great, so that you don't have to write different apps to access the same, or to access different thermometers. Then each service has something called characteristics. For instance, in our device information service, one characteristic might be the firmware version, and another one might be the manufacturer. And they are grouped together, but they are not the same. Then finally, inside the characteristic, we have something called value. So in our thermometer example, the value would be how hot it is, like 25 degrees. And then the descriptor, one of the descriptors could be the meaning, so Celsius or Fahrenheit. And another descriptor might be what you are able to do with that. So for instance, write or read or subscribe. Now, when you subscribe, you have different options. You have indications, which are time-based. Imagine, like, every second, just send me the current temperature. So it would keep sending the temperature every second. But it might be as well that you want to just get notifications. So when something changes, because you have all the time the same temperature. You don't want to be transmitting all the time. So that's where you define what you want to do. Now, I want to show you a practical example. We have these awesome desks on the office that they go up and down. They are some IKEA desks, right? So you have these 2 buttons where you can just move it. So what we did it was take one of our sensors in the WunderBar, and we attach it to it, and we wired them together. And then we were able to write a characteristic in order to move it up or down. It was a fun project, and we enjoyed it a lot. OK, one more thing, security. So when we talk about, so you have a device, and you don't want everyone in the room to listen to what it's being exchanged over the air. Imagine that you have a heart rate monitor. You don't necessarily want that the guy passing next to you can hear how your heart is behaving, right? So that's why we want to encrypt this communication. When we talk about encryption, we talk about pairing. Pairing is the mechanism when you exchange some information in order to create the keys. And once you have these keys, you can encrypt this communication. And there are 3 types of pairing. Just works, where the information is exchanged on plain text, and then each part has to figure out what the key is going to be. The other option is passkey entry, where one of the devices needs to have a screen where you can see the passkey, and the other one will have a keyboard where you can look at the key and introduce it. This is more secure because you don't see the exchange is not produced over the air. And the last way is out of band. That means using a third-party technology in order to do this exchange. For instance, you can use NFC and just bump the devices together and pass these keys over this other protocol. Cool. So now we have these two devices that are connected, and the communication is encrypted. But we might want also to, when they disconnect, when they go too far away and they connect again, you don't want to repeat this process every single time, right? So what you want to do is bonding. Bonding is the process of storing this information, these keys, these temporary keys in both devices, so that the next time you connect, you just do an encryption pre-establishment, which each device just checks whether they have the keys and they don't have to do the whole encryption again. So now we can start developing for Android Wear, right? The sad truth is not. So you could, but Google released this other SDK where it does it a lot easier for you to, as a developer, to communicate with wearables. But in theory, you could still use it to do it yourself in a more low-level way. And another thing that I wanted to comment, this is the Bluetooth SIG that I mentioned before. It stands for Special Interest Group. And there you can prototype your services. You can prototype your devices. So you don't need the actual device to start coding. You can start designing what services you're going to have and what characteristics you're going to have inside, and start developing from your laptop. So getting to this point, I just want to say that if you want to experiment with Bluetooth Low Energy or with the Internet of Things, we will be tomorrow at the hackathon, and we will have a lot of devices for you to play with. So we'll be there. You're very welcome to come and just have fun with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Hugo.